Let's start with the mighty Waratahs, Super Rugby 2025 champions. All right, so we're doing our Aussie conference preview today, and we're going to start with the Tars. Let's preview the Tars. Nels.
We're going to go straight into the big outs. Darren Coleman gone with Dan McKellar coming in. Obviously, our Aussie prospect coach. That's massive for them. They've lost HJH, Big Red, Jed Holloway, Ned Hannigan, Will Harrison, Lockie Swinton, Isaiah Parisi, Dylan Peach, Mark Nwanganitawasi. This is just the bigger names that they've lost. Like there's at least double that as well. But they have had some big ins.
It sounds terrible.
I know, but they have had some big ins, so don't worry, boys.
Let's go.
Isaac Kailea, Taniela Tupou, Rob Leota, Darby Lancaster, Andrew Kellaway, Joseph Suwali'i, also Lucas Ripley, and heaps more. I mean, Lawson Crichton. There's a lot of guys coming into this side as well.
Smith from the Rebels,
Ben Grant,
Felix Kalapu, Henry O'Donnell.
Yeah.
It's actually pretty crazy, the turnover in this side, and I think that's their biggest challenge, to be honest.
Wild.
And we made my dreams come true. You can't get any bigger than getting Taniela Tupou into your team.
That's true.
My dreams have been that. So.
Yeah, Harry said someone else was on the rise earlier, so was Cargie. So he can get it up.
Yeah, mate, that's 100%, man.
Yeah, kid-friendly show.
All right, should we go with what we think the best starting 15 for the Waratahs is? Harry's just chucked up on screen. Of course, if you're watching us on YouTube, all three of our best starting 15s for the Waratahs, but if we've kind of amalgamated them and Harry's, or should we go through all of ours or just through the?
Yeah, let's go through them. We can.
I mean, we'll talk about the differences. So why don't we just start rolling through? Cargie, you're talking. You read yours.
I'll start with the front row. So we've all agreed Angus Bell. That's done. Job done. He starts there. Dave Parecki starts there. Taniela Tupou starts there. Wallabies front row. Can't do any better than that. Lock that in. We have a bit of differences when we get to the...
I was going to say, our bench front row, we've all chosen Heaven to start, which I actually found that pretty interesting. Like, I thought that...
Sorry, actually, I would have picked Violani now.
Yeah, it's tough between both of them.
Yeah.
Like, they both fill slightly different roles.
I would have picked Violani.
Yeah, I mean...
I had them,
but you didn't.
I had them both bracketed. The reason why I've gone for Heaven is I think he just really excelled last year without the prep that, he's going to have this year, without, some of the other positives around him. So I think we're going to see, another step up from him again.
Before you post that, change my Violani, thank you.
Too late. Isaac Kailea on the bench at loose, and then myself and Cargie have gone with Daniel Bothra at tight head, whereas Nelson's gone with Amoni.
Teosifa Amone. So coming across from, the Western Force? He is a big guy, and I absolutely love seeing him run the ball. He is a little bit heavier. I think he's a year younger, maybe than Daniel Botha. But, I mean, he is the guy that Cargie should be picking. It's very weird that he hasn't. He mustn't know who we're talking about.
Big fan of Botha. All right, let's get to the locks. So we've all gone for Miles Amatosero. We've all said he's starting.
Tight head lock.
And then we've all got different choice for the other locks. So I've gone with Angelo Smith. I think was fantastic for the Rebels and really coming on.
The most Fijian.
Yep. Nelson's gone with Hugh Sinclair, the person who looks most similar to himself.
Most experienced.
And Harry has gone with Ben Grant, who's come across from the Hurricanes.
The other thing is on the bench, we've all got Ben Grant in our side. Cargie and I have Ben Grant on the bench. Harry's got Hugh Sinclair on the bench. So the only one who's gone truly rogue, but Angelo Smith's and Harry's is, you've thrown him in to start, mate.
That's it.
You just like the dynamic ball running.
Oh, he just was, absolutely killing it last year, and I think he'll be awesome. And also just in the mould of like the Jed Holloway, Fergus Lee Warners we're having, you know what I mean? Adding that.
It's a new coach though, Matt. I just don't think that the Waratahs are going to continue to play without locks.
Yeah.
I think that they're going to have learned that lesson that you actually need a second round.
They've brought some big guys in too, I think for a purpose.
This is who I would pick. Ben Grant's probably the smart option for an absolute line-out operator and scrum operator. But anyway, moving on. Back row. Nels, back row.
My only thing on that is Ben Grant.
I would pick.
Ben Grant and Amatosero are both big, very tall, very big bodies. So for me, I think it makes sense for Grant to maybe be the guy on the bench there. And then you've also got Angelo Smith who could fill in there or back row. Hence, I've gone for Hugh Sinclair, played out of his skin, and we don't talk about it enough. When we go across into the back row, this is pretty simple, guys. This is very simple. Rob Leota, Charlie Gamble, Langy Gleeson, no disagreement here. Yep. The only change is Harry and I both have Angelo Smith involved and Sinclair around on the benches and things. Cargie, you've brought in Mesu Kunivula.
Kunavalu, yeah,
Valu, sorry.
mate. I like a dynamic big ball running back row.
Yeah, I mean he's
and they've got a few exciting.
He's got a bit of go
They've
in
got a
him.
few exciting back rows, but he excites me.
Yeah, there's definitely other names that can be thrown into that list that we'll see get a chance. Liafi Talataina is one of them. Slack Smith is gone for the year.
Yeah, we talked about Ned Slack Smith
Gone.
We think it
last
might be a
week.
concussion. I'm not sure.
Yeah, very weird one because they're talking about bringing someone in. But yeah, the exciting player nonetheless.
Harry, takes through the halves.
Backline, I think we've all got Jake Gordon, Tane Edmed to start. Teddy Wilson is our reserve 9.
Yep.
Cargie and I have Jack Bowen on the bench. Nelson's gone to Wilson Crichton.
I love Jack Bowen, and I do think there's a high likelihood we see Teddy Wilson, Jack Bowen linking up off the bench. It just means this, because of the roundness I wanted in my backs, I've got Darby Lancaster on the bench. I thought Lawson Crichton offers a few more positions, a little bit more versatility. If Darby Lancaster's starting, I think Jack Bowen is in that 22 jersey, and I think there's more likelihood we see Teddy and Bowen playing lots together off the bench.
And I think that kind of brings us to the complicated part of the Waratahs, which is where does Joseph Suoli'i play? We all think he'll start. Cargie and I have him named at outside centre. Nelson's named him at fullback. He was obviously named at fullback for the trial that he was then pulled late from with his knee niggle. They've said that McKellar said that he could play outside centre, wing, fullback, yet they haven't really decided, and they expect him to kind of move around a little bit. So if I go through mine, I've got Feketi at 12, Suoli'i at outside centre, which then gives me the ability to play Lancaster, Jorgensen and Kellaway at outsides. I feel like that's the best balance. And then I've got Joey Walton covering, who can kind of play across the field as well. Cargie, what are you thinking?
So I've got the exact same as Harry. We've got Piketty and Suoli'i in the centres, and I've got Lancaster, Jorgensen, and Kellaway.
No different.
And then, of course, on my bench, I've got Jackson Rapata,
Nice.
the new absolute weapon. Get him involved, and that's just because we have the flexibility with Suoli'i to fit anywhere, to push out anywhere, and
Kellaway.
And Kellaway as well. Look, exactly.
Walton on his best ever season, you've punted him from the 23.
That's it. Rapata, get him in there, mate. He's exciting.
For me, I've gone Ketty and Walton, who played a lot of the back end of last year in that kind of partnership, even though they were flipped in the trial. I think the reason why I've got Walton starting and Suoli'i at fullback is he adds an extra boot, and quite a smart boot, which maybe is why they're trialing him at that 12. Just gives a little bit more of a bow, an extra little kick in there to get to the likes of Suoli'i, other things like that. So I think that's a real positive for them. Mind you, Suoli'i has a big boot on him. I don't think he has the same tactical boot necessarily. And then on the wings, I've got Jorgensen and Kellaway with Suoli'i at fullback. Darby Lancaster, as I mentioned, on the bench. Another young guy, high prospects. No one's going to be surprised by him being in a 23. But there are names around there. Jackson Rapata, as you said, he's got a chance. Henry O'Donnell, he's got a chance. And if you've got Feketi Walton in that centre partnership, it gives one of those guys the ability to get a bit of a crack as well. But I just can't see Darby Lancaster not being in the 23 for the most part.
Yeah, and I'll round it out by just saying, I was at a wedding last night and I was talking about Joseph Suoli'i, and I was saying he was telling someone who was starting at fullback in the trial, and they were just saying, look, in Super that might make sense because you just want to get the ball in his hands as much as possible. Just injecting himself.
Exactly.
So that could very well make a lot of sense to have him at fullback.
I've got players to kind of rise this year for them. Miles Amatosero, we said, it's his second year. He would have learnt a lot, but now you've got no Holloway, no Hannigan. I think it's his year to step up. So I think he's in for a big one. Joseph Suoli'i, I think everyone thinks that this guy is going to play big minutes. He's 21 years old. He's already played 66 games for the Roosters in the NRL, played for Samoa and the New South Wales State of Origin.
One of the issues in rugby union, and we talk about this in Australia, is they don't get enough game time. This bloke's played 66 games and he's 21. They would take him 4 or 5 years to do that in Super Rugby. That is ridiculous.
And sorry, I'm going to take the second half of your point here, just because, again, last night chatting at the wedding, they're like, how do you think he's going to do? Whatever. And I said, well, mate, did you see his first game in the Wallabies that he played against England at Twickenham and was man of the match? Do you need to say?
I mean, he wasn't, but
he wasn't really.
Yeah, he was exceptional.
It's just say less. You know what I mean?
He's a freak.
He's going to be the best.
Cargie, who's going to have a quiet season, mate?
Who's going to have a quiet season? Well,
can we ignore that first one?
No,
both of them. Can we ignore both of them?
No, that's fantastic. We've got Julian Heaven and Joey Walton there. Heaven because he's basically Parecki's back, but
and he's going overseas at the end of the year.
He's going overseas, and Vailano. Look, certainly Vailano won't have that same relationship he had with Darren Coleman. I mean, like I said, I think Milano will be really pushing him for game time. And Joey Walton, Nelson's the only one who's put him in his starting side. Harry's given him the benefit of being on the bench, and he just doesn't make my starting 23. So
he's got a real versatile game. I think he's been hurt a little bit by his injuries and things. But Smokies, there are a lot. Yeah. Kagi, you can touch on this first one.
Kuna Vula, as I said, picked him on my bench. He's played for Fiji in sevens. Basically, that means you get a selection in 2023 that I'm picking. But no, he's just unreal. He's incredibly athletic. Can play lock or back row. Just that point of difference that we could bring off the bench, that kind of injection you want, you know what I mean?
And I've got Liapi Palataina, 21, 196 centimetres, 112 kgs, out of under 20s for Oz in 2023, plays 8 with that size and runs phenomenally, plays 6, plays lock. This guy has the ability to fill in on the bench for the Tars and cover the whole back five of except for maybe open slot flanker, pretty specialist for them in the forwards. He is an exciting young prospect, and with the likes of Langy Gleeson leaving at the end of the year, he is a guy that we could see blooded through this year and get a bit of a chance to prove himself because he might be filling more of a role next season.
Yeah.
I like it. Ranked, I've got them third behind the Brums and Reds, not necessarily in the
We're talking end of season.
End of season, yeah. And I've got them 6th, so sneaking into finals, which is what you always do the season before you win the competition.
That's right, yeah.
New coach, 6th place, 1st place is how I see it going. So that puts them behind. I would think maybe the Blues, the Chiefs, and let's say the Hurricanes or Crusaders, one of those two. And
we don't need to mention where they were last year. We're talking.
Don't remember.
Exactly.
Short memories. I agree with you there, Harry.